Hi guys, the former CEO of Siemens UK was back once again to speak to Sky News about the current rubbish being pushed by Brexiteers in government. So as you can probably remember, Jacob Rees-Mogg, when he was the Brexit Opportunities Minister, incidentally a job that has gone by the wayside over the last few months, well, Jacob talked about repealing EU laws and either dumping the legislation or replacing it with UK rules instead. Now, apart from the extra workload this would put on the civil service, which has already been asked to cut back as part of an austerity drive by the new Chancellor, Jürgen Meyer had a startling revelation.
Now, you've picked on another story from the FT. This one is currently top of their website. UK's plan to scrap all EU laws suffers new setback.
Yes, indeed. And look, it's yet another piece of Brexit ideology, which is proving impossible to deliver and was never going to happen anyway. And this is about scrapping all of EU laws, which of course was promised by both Liz Truss and our now Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, as a key part of their leadership campaign. Now, there's two remarkable things in this story. The first is that ministers seem to have found 1,000 more laws or pieces of regulation that they didn't know existed before. So it's 1,000 more than there were that now need to be repealed. And the question that I ask is, how can you be sure that you need to repeal or scrap these laws if you don't even know they exist? And it's just mind-boggling, and shows that the people who are making these promises really aren't in the detail and really don't know what they're doing. And the second thing that's remarkable, and that's forgotten in all of this, is that we signed up to a withdrawal agreement that says that we will commit to a level playing field on standards and regulation. And so the more we go down the route of scrapping and repealing laws, the more chance there is we will end up in the debate of having tariffs on British exporters. That will, of course, be very costly to British exporters. And I think we'll all agree that we can't afford that right now.
No, definitely not. So once again, you have ideology taking over instead of practicality or pragmatism. You have these ideologues in charge. You have these Brexiteers who don't understand reality and will not be affected directly by this reality. Once again, we saw it before when it came to businesses that were struggling at the beginning of this saga, beginning of this disaster, were asking government for help. They were saying, okay, how are we supposed to export our goods? And the response from government was, set up in the EU. Or, well, we don't know. Find a way around the problem. But businesses have been abandoned, and now you have these ideologues once again attempting to change laws and finding new ones that they didn't know exist before. Once again, how do you respond to this sort of rubbish? This is supposed to be a government. This is supposed to be a first world government. But these Brexiteers don't understand how these things work. They don't understand the civil service. They don't understand legislation, which is ironic because some of them are actually lawyers. But as Jürgen Meyer said here, that if you deviate from EU rules and regulations, this risks getting into big problems with the level playing field, because the EU will say, well, you're not aligning with us sufficiently. You're not respecting what you signed up to in the withdrawal agreement, and we're going to impose tariffs. Of course, there is barriers to trade at the moment, non-tariff barriers. The last thing businesses need in the UK are tariffs, because that would make imports and exports and all of this much more expensive. It's going to be, once again, a problem for businesses who are already struggling. The UK would respond, of course, with their own tariffs, and as I said, this would drive imports and exports up, and there would be no winners here. In a trade war, there are no winners; there are only losers. It's important that this is shelved. This idea that we're going to repeal these laws. Of course, it's ideological. They have to sell the Brexiteers, the people who voted for this disaster. They have to sell them something as a victory. Yes, we're moving away from European rules and regulations, even though there are many countries around the world moving towards them. I think Rishi Sunak is probably going to shelve this. I think he's going to realize, look, we can't do this. It's too problematic. And we need to talk about doing it, but not actually go through with it. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.